Hello. My paper concerns the idea of the compilers of the biblical account about the location of Mount Sinai. And I do that examining the dates, the information provided by the Bible on the deserts, Midbar, and on the location of the tribal people that were concerned, especially the Midianite and the Amalekites. Now, I have gone through all the places where the Bible mentions both the deserts and the tribal locations, and I created a topography according to the view of the compilers. Now, this is reported in the text of my communication. And can you please pass my slides so that I can speak by the slides? My images. Yes. Now here you see the deserts. There are 5 deserts, 2 before Mount Sinai, 1 at Mount Sinai, and 2 more after the Sinai event. Now, if we locate these deserts on a map, as I have done, you see that Mount Sinai must be between the first 2 and the last 2 of these deserts. So I explain in detail in my paper how I get to locate these deserts. Can you take the second slide? Yes. Now, the second aspect of my paper concerns the location of the tribes. And there are 4 main tribes, but 2 are most important. The Amalekites that live on the high places of the Negev desert and east and west towards Nahal Mitzrayim, the river of Egypt, and the Midianites, which in one way or another are around the Arava Valley. Next, please. Now here you see the Paran Valley, and on the Har Karkom is this plateau that you see at the end. Next one. The plateau is just a flat plateau, and besides 2 difficult accesses, it is almost impossible to reach the mountain because it is all over just very steep. Next. I don't see here. There is a story of Moses when he's in Midian, coming back to Egypt, and his brother is meeting him at the mountain of God, which means that the mountain of God must be between Midian and Goshen. Now here you see in this map the possible location of this strip between Midian, which is around the Arava Valley in any case. It can be east or west of the Arava Valley, but if it is east of the Arava Valley, the Arava Valley is also a place to cross, so that we see that out of all the different mountains proposed for Mount Sinai, Har Karkom is the only one which enters in this possible travel space between Midian and Goshen. Next, please. Now, Har Karkom is near the border of Joshua limits of the Promised Land, but it is not inside, it is outside. Next, please. Now, the Har Karkom is a big plateau, and the plateau is completely covered with worship places. There are shrines and stele and all kind of things which are described in my paper. And in the valley around, especially the valley to the west, the northern and the western valley, there are hundreds of places, living places of the Bronze Age. Next, please. Now here you see 3 maps, distribution map of living places, which are mainly in the valleys, the places of cult sites, which are on top of the plateau, and the tumuli that are spread all over, but they are not necessarily funerary tumuli. They are gal-ed, and tumuli of agreements and tumuli of rituals. We excavated a few of them, and in most of them there are no graves. There are just some symbols of worship. In one of them we found a moon-like stone, and most of these sites have material culture, especially flint implements related to the early Bronze Age. Next, please. Yes, you see an idea of what look like the living sites around the mountain, in the valleys. There are a few huts with the remains of stone basements, and they are accompanied by the worship places. Almost every site like that, and there are over 100 of them, have some sort of worshiping place near the living sites. Next, please. Yes, on top of the mountain, you see all sorts of places of worship. Here you see this ram, the standing ram, and it is near a paved area in front of it. Next, please. There are figures of divinities, probably. This face has an engraving of an animal, probably a capri, on the front. Next, please. And there are a lot of rock engravings, a large quantity of rock engravings, and some of them show people worshipping in front of something which is not a divinity, something abstract like that, like some wind in the sky. Please, next. Yes, the Har Karkom has the pattern of an oasis. This is 200 kilometers, and you see that at the end of both sides the concentration of sites is diminishing. And there are two main centers. One is Bear Carcom, which is the well where there is water, and the second one is the mountain where there is no water. Please go on. Now, if we look at the different concentration of different periods, we see that in the Paleolithic age and in the Bronze Age, the main center is the mountain, while from the Iron Age on, the main centers is just the well, the Bear Carcom, and the importance of the mountain is decreasing completely. Please, next. Now, Bear Carcom, which I believe it is the biblical Rephidim, is a very important place. There is a fortress here. Here is the well, and there are living sites all around here of the Bronze Age. Now, next, please. Now, you see the fortress is a unique early Bronze Age fortress in the entire Sinai area. It is a very fortified place with walls that reach almost 5 meters in largeness. And in this place we found also material from the Egyptian 6th dynasty, a juglet, and other elements. Please go on. As you see, this is the alabaster juglet from the 6th dynasty, which was found there. Go on, please. I don't see. Yes, here you see the present state of the northern Sinai with the main traveling roads. And here is a reconstruction of my proposal of the itinerary of Exodus. According to my proposal, the south of the Sinai Peninsula was not considered at all in the description of the Bible. Everything happened in the north part of the peninsula. Yes, please, next. And here is the itinerary from Mount Sinai back to all the way through Kadesh Barnea, according to my proposal of recognition of the sites, with the indication of the tribal areas. And there is one important point here, that after sending the spies to the north, the itinerary is turning back. There is some crucial moment there that they decided not to go further towards the promised land, but they decided not to risk probably the king of Arad and other elements were just advising not to try a war or a pass-through from south to north. Yes, please, go on. Here you see the Mount Har-Carcom with the moon that rises in the evening. And the next one. There is a strange and very fascinating element in the shape of Har-Carcom, that it looks like a sort of jinn, of spirit of the desert, with the eye, the nose, and the mouth, which is completely natural. It is not done by Now, this is a very short summary of my paper. I suggest that if you want to get further details, you read my paper, which was sent this morning to all of you. And if you have some other questions and some debates, I will be very happy to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
So we have time for some questions. Tom.
I don't hear you. Please just make it louder.
Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for your talk and for being with us today. It's Tom Levy here. And I wonder if you could say something about the dating of your model for the Exodus. What are you dating?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I intentionally avoided entering this question because the itinerary I propose is valid for every period. It doesn't touch the idea of the age, but I elaborated another paper which is almost ready about the age of Exodus. This is something that I have been speaking about for the last 20 or 25 years. My feeling is that Exodus took place. I believe it took place. There may be more Exodus, but at least the Exodus that the Bible refers to is something that is connected to the sixth dynasty, to the late early Bronze Age. And I explained that in detail from different points of view. First of all, all the sites that concern the biblical account, Jericho, Kadesh Barnea, which is En Kuderat, where there is a very important concentration of early Bronze Age, but there is no late Bronze Age. All the sites mentioned in the Bible have been destroyed, have had some event in the late early Bronze Age, and they did not exist in the late Bronze Age. So this is a very strong point in favor of an early age of this Exodus described by the Bible. A second element which I elaborated are a series of documents from both Egypt and Mesopotamia that correspond to the biblical mood, the kind of mood that appears in the biblical account, the beliefs, and also the facts that convinced me that the whole story of the Bible comes from a tradition of the late early Bronze Age. And there are more things, all the destroyed towns in Moab and Edom, and many other elements I put together. All of them point to a tradition of the narration of the Bible during the sixth Egyptian dynasty. So this is something that will be available very soon, probably next week, if somebody is interested to know all my reasoning in detail. But I feel quite confident that the tradition, all the narration of the Exodus has a tradition going back to the late early Bronze Age.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yeah, Thomas.
Thomas Schneider here speaking. Thank you so much for your paper. Just to tie into that question, to that explanation, if you assume a late Old Kingdom date, you are separated by approximately 1,000 years from the beginnings of the Genesis of Israel in the highlands, and maybe 1,500 years from what Israel Finkelstein just explained, the literacy in Israel. How do you bridge that enormous gap in, communicating a tradition down to Israel?
Yes. Well, first of all, I have developed a concept that the age of Moses and the age of Joshua are not just one generation, they are ages that lasted several generations. Then I think that there is a gap in the biblical narration between Joshua and after Joshua, there is a gap. All the age of Tel Amarna letters is ignored in the Bible, and other elements are ignored in the Bible. So the late Middle Bronze Age and most of the late Bronze Age are just not appearing in the biblical narration. There is a gap, and I believe there is a lost book that did not reach us. I elaborated that in detail in Exodus, in my book on Exodus, which came out in 2018. The idea that all the narration of the Exodus took over just quickly as we go on vacation in Norway and we spend 15 days there, and the concept that the people that came out of Egypt just traveled just 40 years, and this is something that has to be revised very attentively. Every stop of a tribe, of the Bedouins today, but also nomad people in other countries, is years. It's not just one day they stop in one place and the day after they move to the other place and go on like that. So all the concept of time in the biblical narration has to be reconsidered. And I think that I made it very clear in my book on Exodus, all this concept of time. And I think that we have to think over again and to have a new look in terms of conceptual anthropology, which is based on comparative elements from all over the world and from patterns that take place among people living in desert, nomadic people, and we get an idea of how life was organized in these kinds of tribes. Now, there is another point to emphasize, 2 points, I would say. One point is the evolution of the society that appears in the narration of the Bible, from the tribal people that lived in the desert and moved from one place from one well to the other, to the people that conquered Transjordan and made war to the king of Arad, to the next step of Joshua that conquered towns, destroyed towns, and so on, to the time of Judges that they were becoming settlers. They were becoming, they were no more nomadic people. They just, this is the story of over 1 millennium of evolution of the Near East, from nomadic tribes on the edges of the fertile present. There was a change in climate. The climate change obliged them to conquer areas more fertile because there was no more water or grazing ground where they used to live, to the final invasion of Canaan and the conquest of parts of Canaan. So this story is a long story, which is synthesized, as it happens in myth in most cases, in just 40 years. But I think the real time of all the story of this Exodus is over 1 millennium. The comparison also with the climatic changes is vital. The comparison with the density of population in the Sinai area in the various periods, whether there were tribes or where there were no tribes there, which we have done and is published. And this is going to be included also in my paper on the time of Exodus, which is practically ready. It can be available next week.
Thank you very much. That is the time that we have. And thank you very much, Emmanuel. And really, really a great pleasure for your talk. Thank you.
I'm sorry that I'm not there with you. I wish you a fruitful and happy continuation. And in my heart, I am near to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.